Hello, friends. Welcome to my basement. This is Kyle Brandt's basement, just like the sign says. That's the Ultimate Warrior, my co-host. I'm here. I'm ready to talk to you about all kinds of things. We got to talk Mahomes. We got to talk Aaron Rodgers. Oh, the Jets, the Giants, anything you could possibly imagine. There's big breaking Rob Schneider news. We got to get to that. Making copies in the basement, the basementator. That is an early 90s Saturday Night Live reference. And lots of things to get to. We're going to do takes on takes. I think we got Michael Irvin versus Colin Cowherd. All kinds of fun toys, candy down here in the basement. That's what basements are about. Sipping beers, playing video games, watching movies. Let's get off to a quick start here. Let me first shoot my free throw. Go to the sky cam. See if I got this buttery touch. Come on now. Line it up, line it up, line it up. Bend the knees just over the front of the rim. And...
yes!
Oh, yeah, Marv. You can give me something. Bang! Still a little working out with the buttons, but that was a buttery shot. Give me again. Oh, yeah. Here's what I love. Here's what I hate. And here is what's hilarious. Let's go. I love watching Aaron Rodgers right now. Now, hold on. We've done that for a long time. It's been all over the place. Last few years have certainly been unique, off the field, on the field. But I love watching him on the field right now. It is great theater, personal theater, athletic theater. We've said for years that he makes the game look easy. It's almost over the last few years, it's like he's mastered the game. I have to put down this guitar because I'm too good at it. I've mastered it. I'm Yingwei Mountain. I'm Eddie Van Halen. I've mastered it. It feels like he mastered the game. He makes it look easy. You watch the Packers right now, it's really hard for him. And I don't mean he's suffering or struggling or sucking or anything like that, but man, he is working so hard. He's working hard to move the chains. He's working hard to stay focused. He's working hard to take deep breaths and not freak out on the sideline or in the game. It is really interesting because I think it is a study in restraint. And I like this Aaron Rodgers. It's fun to watch. It's like a new deal. I said this morning. I was talking about this, that he's so unique as a person and as an athlete that I try to, especially with what I do for a living, I try to find ways to relate to him in any way that I possibly can. And the only thing I got going right now, watching Aaron Rodgers in 2022 out there with guys named Romeo and Watson and his other dudes he's been with for a while, is, I coach flag football and I coach kids who are 7, kids who are 8. And I cannot begin to tell you the frustration and the challenge in poise and patience in getting in a huddle with little kids like that in offense when it's assignment-based, when it's position-based and timing-based. I mean, it's hard. So in my huddle, much like Aaron Rodgers, I got a couple kids who I can just count on them. If I tell them to do this, they're going to line up and they're going to do it and they're going to come back and ask me what I do next. He has that too. He's got his Cobb and he's got his Lazard and he's got those guys. But then also in the huddle, I got 4, 5, 6 other kids who I don't know what they're going to do. They're young, they're eager, they're trying to learn, and they want to make plays just like Rodgers' other teammates do. But I can't count on them. I don't know. And there'll be times when I'll say, all right, guys, we're going to run left, all right? Look at me. I'm not going to use the real names. Billy would run left, right? And Billy goes, yeah. And we break the huddle and run left. And you can be on the field with him at that age. So I walk up to him with the center. I say, all right, run left, right? Left is going to be that way. And I physically point to the left behind my back. Run left, got it. He says, hike. You give him the ball, runs right. I can't even begin to tell you. Part of you just dies inside because he runs right. And the other kids are all running left. And you go, oh, Billy left. And by that point, rip his flag out. It's over. But you just say, all right, huddle up. Back in the huddle. Let's try it again. And that I feel that is the only way I can actually identify at all with what Rodgers does, because he's so good and so smart and so surgical. And these guys, even probably the Lazards, frankly, aren't really doing it perfectly. And this is this guy who is a brilliant genius, sort of Beethoven of football. Even if you can't stand Rodgers, the fact that it's there. He's won the MVP 4 times in 2 years in a row. So I love watching him try to stay composed, because the best part is these networks have it down. They're like, listen, every Packers game really has 2 plays every play. There's the actual play where he throws it or hands it off, and then there's the real meat where the second the play is over, you just go like this. And this is your Rodgers cam right here. And it's this close in his face. And here he is on Fox. and you get every follicle, every pore, every little muscle twitch whatsoever, every play to see what his reaction is. Does he raise an eyebrow? Does he shake his head ever so slightly? Does he say something? What did he say? Is it easy to read? It's amazing. They go to it every time. It could be a run to Aaron Jones off left tackle, he gains 3 yards, and they'll go to Rodgers' face. It is the show within the show, and I enjoy seeing it because, you know, he got caught swearing at his center. He was trying to catch him off guard, and on CBS it was, and then he goes, "Snap the bleeping ball!" And you could hear it. And Romo heard it, and Romo jumps in, and Rodgers said, "Snap the ball." But I've had those snap the bleeping ball moments, and you have at your job, and whatever you have. Maybe it's a new hire, maybe it's an intern, maybe it's just in this tiny way relatable to you're doing a job or a task, and there's other people that you are dependent on to do it who are not able to do it up to your level. And I really like it. There's no Devontae out there. We have seen the Rodgers for years. It just goes, all right, who we playing tonight? Bears, Lions, whoever, here's my flamethrower. And it's 4 touchdowns, and they win by 20 points, and he does his little pithy interview afterwards and does his little Rodgers smile. And that Rodgers is great, and it's 4 MVPs. I like this one that is like, it is taking every fiber of my being not to burn this place to the ground. And these guys are rushing me into retirement. You try to play with Romeo Dobbs. He's a nice young kid. He's my guy out there I'm throwing to on 3rd and goal. It's awesome. And the Packers have set him up for like that because they're like, yeah, we're not going to draft you squat, dude. You can do it by yourself. So yesterday, he goes against the Belichick, the Patriots, and he throws a pick 6, Rodgers does. He throws a pick 6 to a rookie. Now, this was talked about on the broadcast a little bit, but you haven't caught this. I think Rodgers is the best to ever play the position. Now, greatest is a whole different thing, and it's accomplishments and Super Bowls, and it's Brady and Montana and all that. I mean purely the best at the position in most talented, best performances. Doesn't matter, Super Bowl, playoff, whatever, just regular season. You know, fine. Marino, those kind of guys, Peyton Manning. Rodgers, I think, is the best ever. And if you were to go to court and try to make the case of why he is the best ever, one of the first things I would bring up is Rodgers has thrown over 7,000 passes in the NFL. Let's say, I think it's about 7,200, something like that. 7,200 times he has thrown a pass, and 4 times out of 7,200, it has been intercepted and run back for a touchdown. It was 3 before yesterday. Then this rookie for the Patriots got him, and now it is 4. And it is like a world event when Rodgers throws a pick 6. Never mind Aaron Judge. We should break into other coverage, be like breaking. Rodgers has thrown a pass that was so ill-advised or someone messed up so badly he was intercepted and run back for a touchdown. We should break into Aaron Judge at-bats with Aaron Rodgers pick 6s. Let me put this into perspective. And this is why I love watching him right now. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 4 pick 6s, interceptions returned for a touchdown in his career, whole career. Do you know how many Brett Favre has thrown? Brett Favre threw 32 of them. 32. All right, so Favre is like the ultimate chucker. Maybe that's not so surprising. Peyton Manning, guy who runs this place, the ultimate general, the smartest, most cerebral quarterback ever. 27 times he was thrown for interception in return for a touchdown. Drew Brees, precise passer, scrappy as hell, undersized, but just a brilliant engineer of the modern offense. Also 27. Remember, Rodgers, 4. 27. Tom Brady, greatest of all time, never makes huge mistakes. 18. Now considerably less, but 18 to 4. Here's my favorite part. There's guys who have thrown the same amount, 4. Baker Mayfield's already done it, and he's in his 5th year. He's already thrown 4. Justin Herbert, the prince who was promised, the next great quarterback, he's already done 4, and he's in his 3rd year. Kyler Murray, who's maybe the best athlete in the NFL right now, has thrown more than Rodgers, and he's in year 4. So that is my case. It is so fascinating to watch him, and he did it yesterday. Lazard fell down. I don't know if it was Lazard's fault. It looked like it was Rodgers' fault either way. But he is so good, and he is so... he has these little lapses in patience, and it's almost, there's a parenthood comparison, or maybe you're a teacher or a coach, as in my comparison, where you may be the best teacher, best coach, best anything. There's going to be times when you're and you swear or you lash out, and that's what we're looking at every single week with Rodgers. He had this quote after the game. He's like, winning this way is not going to be sustainable. Yeah, I wonder if he's going to be sustainable. Will he ever have a full-on meltdown? Like, in the locker room or on the sideline or in the post game where he just starts calling people out. It's amazing. And this is the guy, look, he resorted to some very unique offseason strategies, and maybe you understand why. Maybe I'd be drinking that tea too. I really would be. But man, you can't miss Rodgers games right now. Never mind great Rodgers, 5 touchdowns. I like this Rodgers, like kindergarten cop Rodgers sitting there with these kids barking at him, and he just finally loses it. I absolutely love Rodgers right now. What do I hate? Let's find out. All right, it's not enough to have an opinion these days. You got to push the envelope. You got to piss some people off. You got to blow some hair back. You got to risk cancellation. I'm going to do just that right now. Let me think about how I hate where we are with the Griddy. I'm ready to move on from the dance. I hate the Griddy world domination. I hate the omnipresent factor of the Griddy. Almost the monopoly on the Griddy. I hate the state of the Griddy. I hate saying the Griddy. I hate that I'm talking about the Griddy on the show right now. I can't get away from the bleeping thing though. Here's the deal. You've seen the dance. Everybody does it. I'm not going to degrade myself by doing it on camera right now. I'd be probably the only person in the whole world who isn't doing it on camera. A fun guy comes along, a fun new player, young player, Justin Jefferson, and a fun new dance comes along. And they do it, and it hits, and he's great, and the Griddy has a lot going for it. It's got this catchy name. It's not terribly difficult to do. You know, it's not the moonwalk or something where no one can do. Even if you do a bad version of it, you can kind of do a half-assed Griddy. And my problem with it is not that it came along as a dance craze. I'm here for a dance craze. It's time to go away. Justin Jefferson came to the league and started doing it in 2020. We're now 2021, 2022. Everybody has to do the bleeping Griddy when they score. The new doing the Griddy when you score, it should be not doing the Griddy. That is considered like anti-establishment fun. What do you mean he didn't do the Griddy? Doesn't everybody have to do it? Zach Wilson catches a touchdown as a quarterback, the first time in Jets history that's ever happened. That thing wasn't even in his hands, and he is dropping it and spinning it so he could do that thing. And this isn't a shouting on a cloud thing, shouting at a cloud. I like the Griddy as what it represents. I like a dance craze. It's just time to move on now. The whole essence of a craze is that it burns really hot and then goes away. Let's just look at recent history, okay? The Macarena, Los Del Rio. You do this, everybody's doing it. It gets to the point where Hillary and Bill are doing it at the Democratic National Convention, which is an incredible piece of video you should look up. And then it goes away, and then it's done. I remember when everybody in the NFL was doing the Soldier Boy. Devin Hester's sitting back there in Soldier Field, ready to return a punch. Just zoom, he's doing all that stuff. It's fine. It's really fun. The fans do it. Go away. You're out of here. You're out of here. The 2015 Panthers. Dab. That's not a dance, but it's a little thing. And it was out of nowhere, and Cam started doing it, and kids would do it, and people on the internet would do it. It has its moment. It's fun. Goodbye. Next, exit, stage left. You want another one? Remember, I can't really do it, of course, but this thing, the floss burned hot. You were nobody unless you were doing that floss thing. I love how you just remove the graphics. You see my dumbass trying to do the bad floss. You know what I'm talking about. Gone. There was a kid doing it at the Super Bowl halftime. Players doing it all the time. It was awesome. And then it doesn't have a 3-season run like the Griddy has. It's time. It's too much. We're burning too hot. It's like this celebrity that you see everywhere. It's like, can we go on to the next thing now, maybe? Because I just don't. And then the problem is with sports media is that, like, you have to. How many segments on wacky shows like this one or my one in the morning or whatever, where it's like, oh, look, here's a guy who's going to do the Griddy who's kind of not that coordinated and looks ridiculous, but let's get up and do it and have a laugh. I mean, wasn't Adam Schefter doing it on Monday Night Football? Was that a year ago or 2 years ago? And he did it, and I think he injured himself. Like, that was a long time ago. We were in London last week in Morning Football, and Schrager gets up, and he does it, and he's doing it. And, you know, he makes a fool of himself, to his credit, and, you know, shock of the world. Jason McCourty gets up and does it much better. And they're like, Kyle, get up and do the Griddy. And I'm like, I'm not doing the bleeping Griddy. I'm sick of it. It's been going on for years. I'm tired of it. We need a new dance. And I don't like the whole idea I don't like a universal touchdown celebration. The idea is the individuality, is that this guy scores, this guy scores. What is he going to do? What is he into? What does he want to pay homage to? What does he want to reference? What movie? What song? Whatever. Now it is just standard issue. What version of the Griddy are we going to do? We got the Mike Gesicki, the white Griddy. Ha, he's a white guy. It was awkward. It was funny. Everyone had a laugh about that. And then the Justin Jefferson, it was the OG Griddy. The Zach Wilson, wow, he actually does it pretty well. That's surprising. We've all had them. Had them all. I'm just tired of it. It was once fun. It was like, we have our mannequin challenge and our flash mob and all that stuff. It's time. It's time to move on. Because at this point, we're going to turn into Thursday Night Football. Al Michaels is going to be doing the Griddy up in the booth in his loafers and his blazer. I don't need to see that. Are we going to get to the Super Bowl in Arizona and there's going to be more Griddying? Is Rihanna going to do the Griddy? I don't know. I feel like I'm spitting in the wind right here. Be like, oh, the Griddy's fun. It is fun. It's had its run. Give me something new. There are many things to do with the human body that involve some sort of dance. Can we move on? Am I the only one here? Please tweet me if you're like, yeah, shut up, You're a grouch. You're a negative. I liked it for years. Tweet the show at KB Basement. Can we move on? When you turn on with your favorite show, whatever it may be, and here's the thing. I'm going long today. I don't care. I got a lot to say. We get these highlights every Monday that the NFL makes for every single game, and it is this game, and they hand them out, and we're going to run the Steelers-Jets highlight, and then we're going to run Patriots-Packers. If anybody, and we don't have editorial choice what they do. Someone at the NFL chooses, these are the plays to include, and these are the shots on the sideline, these are the fan shots, whatever. They edit them, and we just show up in the morning and do them. If anybody does the Griddy at any point, from the time the players arrive to the stadium to the time the team bus leaves after the game, that is part of the highlight. It is all Griddy all the time. You have to have it on there. And it's just a little much. I think I'm ready to move on. If you are someone who's like, man, Brandt's crazy, I need more Griddy in my life. Fine. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've watched this, I've seen it, I'm ready for something new. That's it. What's hilarious? Let's find out. All right, so cool scene in Philadelphia. The Eagles are 4-0. They're the best team in the league. They've been great. Jalen Hurts looks fantastic. And a couple things. So the Jaguars come to town, and they're a surprising 2-1, and they're playing good ball under Doug Pederson. There was this question of how would Eagles fans react to Doug Pederson. We saw in week 1, Seattle fans booed the crap out of Russell Wilson, which I thought was funny. But Eagles fans, standing ovation, super classy, super cool. Doug Pederson waving to them. Only coach ever to win a Super Bowl for them. He has a statue outside. So it wasn't just that. And then the Jags show up, and they play really well. They take a 14-0 lead, and then the Eagles just had the horses and ran over them. But after the game, Doug Pederson's down on the field, and he's just all these ex-players, the guys who we went to the mountaintop with, the guys that won the Super Bowl with, the Kelces and Lane Johnsons, all those dudes. They're hugging, and they're talking it out. And there was something fascinating that happened with Jason Kelce, the star, the heart and soul of the Eagles team, the center. He's on video, and there's a pic of it there. So, they do the jersey exchange, and the star wideouts or quarterbacks will exchange the jerseys and hold it up. He asked for Doug Pederson's jacket. So it's a crappy rainy day in Philadelphia, and Doug Pederson's got this big parka raincoat looking thing. And Kelce said, "Can I have your jacket?" As if he was taking, I don't know, the jersey from Quentin Nelson when they play the Colts. It was just kind of cool. So it was I love you so much, and hug, I want to take this. And I can only imagine that Kelce is going to take Doug Pederson's jacket and maybe have it framed as he would players' jerseys in his home office or basement or, however they do. They got all those frames. I just thought it was a cool moment, a cool gesture. It's not as if Doug Pederson is renowned for his parka or something, as far as I know, but maybe that's special significance to Jason Kelce. So I like that moment. It was original, and it was poignant, and it was really cool how much they love him. But it begs the question, my friends, and this is where you come in. If you could go in the league right now, say you were an NFL player and you could schedule any team you want, go up against any head coach you want for the postgame, or if you had a time machine and you could go all through history, which piece of a head coach's ensemble would you say, hey, coach, it would mean a lot if I could have that? That would be really special, and you could take that, and it's emblematic of that coach, And, I mean, the answers are just flying in. Jacob Bringer-Krennerit, he says, Tom Landry's hat. So we're just going to start. We're going to set a tone here in this bit of class, of dignity, of a razor-sharp, what is it called, a derby hat? Just with a, not a derby hat, I don't know, a fedora. And like a crisp suit and a straight tie and a tie bar. Tom Landry, all class. Personally, I wouldn't class it up that much. I would go with Bum Phillips' hat. All right, so here we go. This guy, Tyler S., says Vince Lombardi's fedora. I hear you. I see it. I would go with Vince Lombardi's. He has that, like, camel coat, that, like, all the way, like, down to the full length, full body length camel coat. What the heck's going on out here? I'd go with that. David Fowler, he says Marv Levy's sweater vest. God, I'm so glad you used the S word, in this case, sweater. So many sweaters, so many sweater vests to be had here. Marv Levy's sweater vest would be excellent. Next, what would you take? Jason Kelce, why is my wife calling me? She knows I'm in the middle of the show. I love you, honey. If she calls again, then it's an emergency, and then I have to answer. I really hope she doesn't call again. I just sent her a voicemail. It probably won't go well. But I'm talking about Hank Stram's blazer, my dear. Hank Stram's Kansas City blazer. This is probably the best answer. Listen, the tweeter says, Chase Samuel, I would put it on and matriculate around town. See, that's great. No one uses the verb matriculate like Hank Stram. In fact, it probably should have been retired. Now we're talking. That's my man. That's Bum Phillips. His coat. I mean, Bum Phillips head to toe. I'm pretty sure he's got some boots on. I would take his socks. I bet he's got some big-ass boxers underneath. The whole thing. The coat, the hat. That's an NFL coach right there. And then Ditka's Sweet Shades from Eric91. Ditka's Sweet Shades, magnificent. Ditka is the only other guy who might qualify from head-to-toe souvenir. His aviator shades were fantastic. Hold on a sec with this stupid Matt Patricia's joke. Can I vamp on Mike Ditka for 1 hot minute? Matt Patricia's pencil. Thank you. Ditka's first team all sweater vest too. He wore a Bears sweater vest. He also wore a huge parka. He would go toothpick sometimes. He would always chew gum. In fact, one time he was off the field and someone was booing him and he threw the gum at a lady who threatened to sue him. That gum could probably be up for auction right now. The glasses, the sweater vest, all Ditka, it's fantastic, fantastic. Now, what if someone wants to crack wise about a more contemporary coach who didn't work out for the Detroit Lions? Do we have any tweets about that? What would they do? Ah, there it is. Connor Bennett, a laugh a minute, Connor Bennett says, Matt Patricia's pencil. Now, are you being facetious because he did not work out as a head coach in Detroit, or are you a Pats fan? The pencil is pretty signature. It is. And I wonder if there's bites in that thing. Matt Patricia's pencil is an interesting one. One more. Let's do it. Yeah, okay. Andrew says this sweatshirt from Belichick. And that is the moth-eaten sweatshirt that Belichick wore in his look that I always refer to as hostage chic. Like that is, if you're wearing that garment, you're usually holding up today's newspaper to prove what date it is. And in fact, or you're the New England head coach. I wore that exact sweatshirt. I had it made for Halloween about 3 years ago on the air. That is a classic sweatshirt, but I actually already have it. So what did we miss? I mean, there's so many. Bum Phillips, I think, are the headliners. You know what I would have gone with too? Hey, Joe Gibbs, can I have your gigantic jumbo eyeglasses that looked like Harry Caray's without the black rims? He wore a great sweater too. But the Joe Gibbs glasses, each lens was the size of a dinner plate. I don't even know how he got that on his face, but he won Super Bowls with it, so that's Joe Gibbs. I would ask Coach Gibbs for that. But that's it. If you want more, you're like, hey, you didn't read this one, or I thought of another one after the show. Just tweet me. I'll read it. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. That's what's hilarious. You know what we're going to do now? Speaking of hilarious, takes on takes. Go ahead. Lions, Tigers, and tailgates. Oh, my. College football season is always the greatest time of the year. You put on a jersey, get your face painted, break out the foam finger, but it's all about the food. And nothing gets you more fired up for game day than Eckrich smoked sausage. They're naturally hardwood smoked and have the perfect blend of spices. From buffalo sausage dip to sausage chili mac and cheese, Eckrich smoked sausage is a quick way to bring flavor to all your tailgate meals. Visit Eckrich.com for easy, one-of-a-kind sausage recipes. Eckrich, you do you. Important update. My wife did not call back 2 times. She did not call immediately back after I sent her a voicemail, which means she's not headed to the emergency rooms. Probably just needs to talk about, pickup from ballet or something. But so we'll find out. That's good news. In the meantime, Takes on Takes, that's exactly when I have these. These are numbers really well made at the local, I think it was FedEx Kinko's. And I'm going to play some takes from some of my fellow provocateurs. And then I'm going to rate them. And I'm going to say, ooh, that's okay. That's a 6. I'll give you a 6. But that, my friend, that is an 8. I think the highest we had was a 9. I think I gave Stephen A a 9 at some point last week. Let's find out what we got today. Say again? What was that? Michael Irvin. I thought Stephen A looked into camera at some point. Never mind. He'll be back. Okay. First in. You want to see who's in? Ring the bell. We have... Oh, man. We're going to start with Cowherd? All right. The Colin Cowherd podcast. We head to the volume where Colin... Let me see. Am I feeling good about Colin? This is a great time of year for him. He's always got thoughts. Let's see if he has a metaphor. In this case, he's got some thoughts on the Denver Broncos. Remember, they just lost to the Raiders. Let's hear what Colin has on the Denver Broncos. Go ahead.
When Russell Wilson was in Seattle, he was frustrated with the constant conservative coaching of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was competent, as you're seeing this year with Geno Smith. Nathaniel Hackett is not. His dad took the USC job years ago, and the Pac-12, Pac-10 at the time, was not any better than it is today, and he finished 10th at USC, Paul Hackett. And I remember those teams, uncreative, uninspiring, vanilla offenses. His son is not a head coach in the NFL. The defense is regressing. They're situationally awful, completely uncreative. They don't manipulate personnel. You don't see a lot of different looks, unique motions. This is a highly predictable Denver offense, and I think Russell Wilson and his agent Mark Rodgers, they're trapped again. But at least Pete Carroll was competent. This team is a disaster. This is a one-year coach. Do what Arizona did, upgrade. Sometimes you just got to own it, look in the mirror and say, we took a big swing, we whiffed.
All right, it's smart, it's well-researched. I like some of the football lingo he used, but something about manipulate coverages or unique motion. I found myself a little distracted, Kaiser Soze style, in the pictures behind him. They seem to be some of them personal, some of them professional. It was tasteful and everything. Remember, the 3 categories are delivery, creativity, and heat. The delivery was solid. It was nothing demonstrative, nothing terribly entertaining, but he wasn't doing that. He was just locked in. The creativity, not that much. The heat is that this team is a disaster. They're 2-2. They're 2-2. They were just 2-1. They lost a close game to a Raiders team that was, itching for a win. I don't know if it's a disaster. They haven't looked good. The Javonte Williams injury sucks. It's horrible. But, Russell's hitting deep balls, the Judy and Sutton and some of the other guys. I think that the heat factor of it is calling them a disaster. And I did like the history lesson, the Paul Hackett history lesson, because those days at USC are not well thought of. But, man, it's interesting about people are just ready to jump on it. And the media coverage of the Broncos is, I think, enlightening because Nathaniel Hackett is really well liked. And he is very media friendly. And he is a good guy, in terms of his sound bites and whatnot. So everyone's kind of loath to attack him. Whereas if you take somebody like Joe Judge, who's icy and standoffish last year, the knives are out. And that's a different approach. So people are loath to come around and go after Hackett, but I could talk about this all day. You know what? Colin's got 9, 8, and 8 power. This is a 5. It's just, it's not terribly creative. It's solid delivery. It's got some heat by saying a 2-2 team is a disaster and right in the mix of things. Like they're one game out of first place, right? The Chiefs are 3-1. So that's the heat, but a 5. And I say that out of respect for Colin because he's a home run hitter, and we'll get there. When the season gets a little further down, we will get there with him. But in the meantime, all Michael Irvin has to do is just sit up, stand in there, take a pitch or two, and then just hit a double, get a 6, and he wins. Let's find out. He's on ESPN's First Take program, which I'm sure you watch and have watched for years. And he wants to talk about, you won't believe this, the suddenly red-hot Cooper Rush Dallas Cowboys. Go ahead, Irv.
And I want to give some special love to Jason Peters. He's come over and solidified this offensive line. An eagle. and every time I say it, an eagle coming over to help the Cowboys, I start choking on it. I can barely cough. But an eagle has come over and landed over here with the Cowboys and has solidified this thing in a great way. And I appreciate him. I appreciate it. It should be an inspiration to America that the team that represents America will not let them down. This is what I want to be. I want America to stand up and be accounted for and appreciate the team that represents them, that we represent you well. We stand for what you stand for. We believe in what you believe. And every time the chips are down, we come through because that's what America would do. And the Cowboys, we want to make sure that we are true. The star, that's why it's on the flag and on the helmet, because we are one. America and the Dallas Cowboys together forever. Now, that's what I'm talking about, buddy. That's what I'm talking about.
But what is he talking about? He just said twice, that's what I'm talking about, but I don't really actually follow what he is talking about. He started, all right, that's a lot. And I say this like I've worked with Irv several times, and I bring that up just to know, like, I'm familiar. That's a colleague of mine. He started off strong. Here's why I like the coughing bit. The thing where he was saying, where he was trying to say up the Eagles, but he couldn't say their names, so he was choking. The way Irv does television, he might actually choke, just in a given segment. He might have a physical episode. So, I mean, I believe First Take is live. So he might actually have a moment where he starts coughing and choking and is getting caught up just based on his own energy or his own esophagus. Like, he gets worked up into a fervor, which I appreciate. So I hadn't seen that, and my initial thought when I see him start going, I'm like, oh no, somebody get Irv a lozenge or JJ Watt defibrillator. Like, give him something. And then he calms down, and then it's just all funnels down to the Cowboys. What you want is, hey, Irv, should Cooper Rush continue as starter for a few more weeks, or indefinitely? But instead, it's just like something about what represents America. And then I'm like, wait, is he talking about the Eagles? Because they're an eagle and it's like their symbol of democracy. No, he's on the Cowboys. And then it's really well directed because you have the cutaways to Stephen A., who is at a billion out of a 10 ham level. And then you go to the cutaways to Orlovsky, who is doing the sort of like bemused schoolboy thing, like, wow, this guy's crazy, and I grew up watching him play for the Cowboys, which I usually play that role when I'm in the segment with Irv. So that was really good. Up to, Brooks calling. I'm gonna have to do the mid-show text. That's not good. But until then, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait till the next segment when Sandpepper is delivering one of his headlines. I'm gonna pretend like I'm paying attention to it, but I'm gonna be texting Brooke. Until then, that was a very entertaining segment. And I give a 7. I give a 7 to the Michael Irvin show featuring Dan Orlovsky and Stephen A. Smith and some sort of coughing bit, and the Cowboys represent what's right about America. That's it. That's the 7. That's Takes on Takes. Are we going to Brandt awareness now? I need to be aware of Mrs. Brandt. So I'm just going to do this mid-show. It's a messy show. Go ahead. Let's get to Brandt awareness. Hello, Sam. How are you? Certainly you can relate to the back-to-back call from the significant other with no text in between. My heart's a little flutter right now, but I got a text out. We'll see where this goes.
Okay. I mean, the fact that you're choosing me over calling your wife means a lot to me. It could be a huge emergency, but you still want to be made aware of the headlines. I think that shows dedication to the show.
It's show first. Show first. Yep. Show business. All
show
right.
First.
Let's more importantly. Can you get our son? I'm taking to the dentist. So now she's writing in segment fragments. Well, yeah, I can get it. Sam, we can be out of here in the next 20 minutes, right? That's when I get to school.
I'm not even going to follow up. I'm not going to follow up on any of my headlines.
No, you follow. I'm going to make Beethoven conduct. You follow. With due respect to picking at my son at school, Tell us more about Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. That's just my guess is what your first headline is, because I don't know.
It's a great guess. It's a great guess.
Really?
It's good of you to be aware of what you're not aware of. Patrick Mahomes put on a show on Sunday Night Football. Mahomes had 3 touchdowns, including some just insane plays. Chiefs beat the Bucs. After the game, Kelce called Mahomes the Houdini of our era, said the NFL hasn't seen anything like him. Kyle, what did you make of Mahomes' performance?
It was fantastic, and I still think when Mahomes is in kill mode, or not even kill mode, it's almost like ballet mode. He just plays this beautiful improvisational game and out of the pocket. I still think he's really the scariest player. Josh is close, and Lamar is close, and sometimes Rodgers is. But from the first 5 seconds of that game, after the Bucs fumbled the kickoff, you're like, well, this is over. I don't care who the Bucs quarterback is. Mahomes is going to have one of those nights where it just feels a little bit like an NBA player who, even in warm-ups, are the first couple times down the court, like Kobe, you're like, well, he's getting 50 tonight. Like, I dare you to try to hold him to 45 points, because you won't. It's one of those nights. It was, Mahomes still has them. It was cool that he had it in the post-Tyreek thing. The Houdini thing is fascinating. I have like a sort of a pocket enthusiast for Houdini and all he represented, and he's the escape artist and all that. If you ever want, like, if you're into relaxing on the weekend or having drinks or whatever anesthetizes you and you like to read weird stuff, go down the Harry Houdini wormhole and go to his death. All the crazy stuff that guy did. His death came about while he was just chatting it up with a friend. He's lying out on a couch, Houdini does, 'cause he's got like a busted ankle. And their friends start being like, hey, do you believe in, like the Bible and God will protect you from strikes to the stomach? Which is a really strange way to start a conversation. Houdini's like, yeah, I don't think you can do it. And then this friend apparently just started wailing on him, just punching the crap out of him, like hammer fisting him in the stomach. And Houdini's like, all right, dude, yeah, you made your point. Like, that really, really hurts. And I already got a busted ankle from whatever nonsense I tried today to put food on the table. And eventually, like, from repeated blows to the stomach, Houdini just died. So this guy who can get out of straitjackets and being drowned and all whatever he was doing died because a friend just beat the crap out of him like you would with your friend who likes to run up the score on you on Madden. It's a really strange way to die. So I hope that's where the Houdini comparison ends and that he's more just an escape artist. Because certainly no one has been able to land those type of body blows on Mahomes. He doesn't have a nemesis yet who, like, man, if Mahomes could just get past this guy. He took the warp right to the top. So it was a fantastic night for him. I don't want him to have any Houdini ending, and that's where the comparison is imperfect. Harry Houdini, wherever you are, shout out to you. You shouldn't have gone down like that. Pepper, agreed?
I agree. Houdini deserved better. But then again, if he had died in one of his tricks, he probably wouldn't have been remembered as well as, as great a magician, not musician, magician as he was. So, all right, next up, NFC West matchup tonight on Monday Night Football, Rams 49ers, Manning cast on ESPN2, of course. A rematch of last year's NFC Championship. What are you expecting to see?
I'm looking forward to Peyton on the Manning cast because I like watching, well, I say Peyton especially because he really lives and dies with every throw. And Eli is just sort of kind of there and having fun. I like watching him with the good quarterbacks, but I don't like watching him with like the crappy quarterbacks. I like watching him with the Jimmy Garoppolo types and sometimes the Matthew Stafford types because they're going to make bad plays tonight, a couple of them at least. And like that cringe on Peyton is excellent. I'm really into that. And then, I don't know, I'm into this rivalry. I am very much here for the McVay-Shanahan thing. It's very interesting to me. Their history back when they were in Washington together. Do you know that like McVay was Shanahan's quality control assistant? And that's a fantastic dressing up of a position. When you hear that phrase, it basically means like you're my lackey. Like you do this for me, you do this. And McVay told this great story once to Schrager when he was on his Ringer podcast, Flying Coach. I think it was actually Shanahan. They were both on together. It was Schrager, McVay, and Shanahan, where there was a season where Sean McVay's job, amongst other jobs, on game day, his job was to laminate Shanahan's play card. Like, that was a very important thing. You better have that sucker laminated. And one day he didn't laminate it or ran out of time, and it was raining or something, and he was like, oh my God, like I'm going to be fired. Kyle's going to be so pissed because the play card is going to erode. Like it's going to break in the rain, in the wind, and in the rain. And I might actually be fired. I'm making, $12 a day as a quality control assistant. So like, that was the dynamic between them. Like, understand that McVay's become this huge superstar and the Super Bowl winner and everything. He was the play card boy for Shanahan, the laminator. That's what he's working up against. So I know they're friends and everything, and that McVay got him last year in the playoffs, but I still think Shanahan relishes laminator boy and sending him back to relaminate this thing or get me some hot coffee and spice that thing up with some cream or something. So I like watching the two of them. Peyton watching the quarterbacks, but afterwards the embrace and whatever bro hug handshake they do. Just remember, they're friends and everything, and they got the scruff and they're kind of the cool young hot guys. Laminator boy, and he always wants to remind. And then on the other side, McVay's like, "Screw you! Now you laminate this. Why don't you laminate this Lombardi Trophy, dude?" That's what I'm here for, Sam.
I'm with you. By the way, Manning Cast guest tonight. We got Steph Curry, we got Jalen Hurts, we got John Hamm. So it should be a pretty amazing show, I would say. Finally, what the world needs. More Rob Schneider headlines. His 9-year-old daughter says she thinks his 9-year-old daughter says she thinks her dad is funny, but admitted that she has only seen half of one of his movies. That movie, the 2001 hit The Animal. By the way, his daughter stopped watching it because she started crying. Kyle, are you surprised?
No. See, we're gonna have to split hairs here when we talk about Rob Schneider movies. Rob Schneider's been in 500 things. But when we're talking about Rob Schneider vehicles, where we're like, he's on the poster, we're gonna run with this thing. I don't think that I've seen a Rob Schneider movie. My favorite Rob Schneider movie that he's in, he has a really small role in Necessary Roughness, the college football movie with Sinbad and Scott Bakula and Kathy Ireland, and he's the play-by-play guy in the booth, and he's just funny and he has some one-liners and stuff. The punt gets blocked and he's like, "Oh, not much of a hang time on it." And when I saw that in 6th grade, I thought it was funny. So, if we're talking about Rob Schneider vehicles, you mentioned, let's just go through it. Because Pepper, I know you're jonesing to get give me the filmography in which Rob Schneider's number one on the call sheet, as they say. What do you got?
Yeah, I looked through it. I was actually surprised because my memory, I kind of remembered him being a star in more movies than this, but we got 1999, we got Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. That was his coming out party, if you can call it that. 2001, The Animal, aforementioned. 2002, The Hot Chick. 2005, everybody was aching for it. We got Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo. 2006, Benchwarmers. And then he took a little break from starring roles. I think Benchwarmers kind of sidelined him. And he did 2010 Grown Ups, of course, because Sandler carried him along there. That's about it. All right, remind me, the animal, what is that? He is an animal, and I remember in the trailer he's running around like a tiger. What happened? You're asking the wrong guy. I think he gets bitten or by something, or maybe some.
So it's kind of like a Spider-Man thing, like he gets bitten and becomes an animal.
I'm making it up as I go.
I don't know either. I've never seen any of those movies. I know The Hot Chick was it might have been like Rachel McAdams' first movie or something. And then I know European Gigolo, but I've never seen them. Like, I have never, even like in my 20s, been like, you know what, man, what should we do tonight? Like, you want to just watch Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo? I'm like, I've never done that. I've seen him in a lot of movies. I used to, when I was working for Jim Rome, we used to do Radio Row, and I was his producer, and sometimes Sandler would come by, and he would work the row, and he loved Rome, and sometimes he would show up with Schneider, and like maybe Spade was there. But like, we can all laugh at the Rob Schneider movies. I think Rob Schneider is extremely well off. I think he basically works with his bros and just shows up in movies and they just hang out and mess around and they get residuals and stuff. I think it's probably a really good life. So, and I also I don't know if you saw this recently, Sam, and then I gotta wrap this up so I can go get my son. I don't know if you saw what he said about SNL recently. And it was very controversial, but I respected that he actually spoke out. So do you remember, what did you see?
It was about the Kate McKinnon as Hillary Hallelujah Leonard Cohen song that she sang at the end, and how he was waiting for the joke, it never came, and for people who don't abide by that politically, it was a huge turnoff. Yeah.
So it was Hillary loses the election, everyone thought she was going to win, and Trump won, and then SNL starts the next show, and it's just Kate McKinnon as Hillary playing Hallelujah. And it's just earnest and everything. And he says he's watching it and he's saying, oh my God, please let there be a joke. Please let there be a joke. Please. And then there was no joke. And he's like, oh my God, it's over. The show is over. Now, never mind what you think of that. It's not a political thing. But I respected that he had a take about Lorne Michaels and SNL. And he's like, listen, I thought that moment sucked. And I thought the show hasn't been the same since. If you feel like, well, he should shut up because SNL billed him, fine. I don't care. You just don't see people say things that are bold like that sometimes. Politically, I don't really give a crap where it goes with that. But that was, Schneider popped recently because he had an opinion, and how dare anybody talk negatively about Lorne Michaels and his empire that he's built. I respected at least that he did that. Sam, are we aware of everything? Is that it?
We are. Just real quick, it was a deranged scientist put animal organs after he had a huge car accident in his body, and suddenly his animal instincts take over, and that's really what happens. I just really wanted to keep you truly aware of everything, including the plot of The Animal from 2000.
The Rob Schneider character gets in a car accident. Sounds horrible, and he wants to be an organ or something.
Yes.
All right, he wants to be a cop. And then so some crazy doctor puts a zebra's liver inside of him or something, and then he becomes
and then energized by his new parts, Marvin leaves his weaknesses behind, achieves instant fame as a super cop, but now a hero. Life is going great for Marvin until his animal instincts take over his body at all the wrong times.
All right, read me a couple of the names below his. Who else? What other name is in this movie? Who's the female? There's got to be a female.
Stand by.
Is it Brittany Daniel? Who is it? Famke Johnson?
I'm getting there.
Who is it?
Colleen Haskell.
Don't know her?
Oh, God, it's rough out here.
Nobody else? It's not like Robert Loggia shows up as the...
Oh, Ed Asner's in it.
Ed Asner! Ed Asner!
Yeah, that's your Robert Loggia. Instead of Robert Loggia, we got Ed Asner.
All right, if you don't know Ed Asner, he's been in a million things. He's Santa Claus and Elf. Anyway, Pepper, that was a great Brandt awareness. We should get Snyder on the show. I don't know if he'll do it. Who knows? But his daughter's got some takes, and I respect it. I have an almost 9-year-old. She couldn't get through one episode of Kyle Brandt's Basement, so who cares? And you know why? It's because she's waiting for me to pick her up. That's it. We gotta end. Hold on with the darts. Let's go to Skycam for a second. If you know the show, we didn't get to do it in London because I didn't bring my dartboard, but we end all our domestically based shows with a dart throw, and whatever number I hit on the dartboard, the corresponding random topic that the staff made up, I will just answer as I go over on the Peloton. So here we go. Here's the number. Guys, it's going to be target. I'm going to aim for 14. Let's see what I hit. I get... that's a 20. That's 20. It's the last one. 20. Topic number 20 is what? Largest animal I could take in a fight. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go to the thing right here. What is the largest animal I could take in a fight? Well, I'll tell you this. In 2021, I spent several weeks in Australia. And when I got there, you're, a dumbass American tourist. You're just like, take me to the kangaroos. I want to see kangaroos and boomerangs and koalas and Paul Hogan. And the locals kind of roll their eyes and they call them the roos. And so I was in Sydney. They don't have them hopping down the streets in Sydney. You got to go out to the woods or the trees or anything. And the woods or the trees, sophisticated. So finally I went out to something that's like their wine country outside of Sydney, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And the locals hate them because they're not smart. They're large and they're not smart, and a lot of times they jump in the road and they'll get hit by cars, which obviously kills them and messes up the car and causes car accidents. But as I'm looking at the kangaroos, and you could be in your hotel room and look out on the front lawn of whatever hotel you're at, and there's just a kangaroo jumping, and they're big. They're not small. So as I'm looking at them, all I'm thinking about is, childhood cartoonish memories of kangaroos with boxing gloves. Or I think I used to have a little wind-up toy where the kangaroo with boxing gloves would punch and then do a backflip. And I'm like, could I take one of them in a boxing match? I think so, probably. The problem is they don't box. They'll sit up there on their tail, and then they'll do the double kick, like Starman on the Pro Wrestling Nintendo game. So most of the ones I saw, I think I would probably get too nervous. They could probably beat me. You know what the largest animal is I could beat in a fight? Rob Schneider, who starred in the film The Animal. And I love you, Rob. I'd never want to fight you. I've watched a lot of your performances, and contributing roles and you can do it, all that stuff. I would never want to beat you in a fight, but I'm pretty sure I could take you. That's why I'm getting my cardio in case I ever have to fight Rob Schneider. Guys, that's it. It's been a hell of a show. Josh Allen Tuesday tomorrow. He'll be here. We'll talk all about last week's game, next week's game, and we'll have his review of the Bill Murray Time Loop Classic Groundhog Day. You don't want to miss it. That's Kyle Brandt's Basement. I got to go pick up my kid right now. See you later. Love you.